If you guys don't have data science work experience, your best bet is to do projects on your own. If you're interested in the causal inference space, one of the easiest things you can do is do public policy evaluation or research. So I had a question, which was, we always hear all this information about the inflation rate under the Biden administration being so high, but I was curious, is the inflation rate for these past 3 to 4 years high relative to the rest of the world during these past 4 years than it has been in the past 10? And this gives me an opportunity to display some causal inference skills. So I went to the IMF and I found some data on country level inflation rates by year. And I set this up in R. R Studio is totally free. I rearranged the results. You can use ChatGPT if you want to get code to sort of pivot around your data set. And the first thing I do is a baseline difference in difference. And we get an estimated impact of that the inflation rate is about 30 basis points higher during the Biden years relative to the rest of the world than it had been in the 10 years prior to that. Now, because I don't really have any counterfactual or there's not really options for AA testing, I try this using other methods as well. One of which is to do a difference in difference, but to add fixed effects. And we can see that, again, we get the same estimate of about 30 basis points higher per year, but still the p-value is quite high and not statistically significant. The next thing we can do is use the causal impact package to estimate a synthetic control model. This one was popularized by Google. And here, what we see is that the inflation rate during these 4 years really shot up relative to a combination of both competitors and a time series of past performance of the inflation rate. And in this case, we actually have that the inflation rate during the Biden years is 1.4% higher than we would expect based on the past time series and a combination of how other advanced economies are doing with inflation. Now, if you are interested in something that's sort of in the middle of those two, there is another package called, and also I try this over the Trump years, and in the Trump years, we get a P of 0.46 and basically no difference in the inflation rate relative to the rest of the world. Now, something in between these two strategies is a synthetic control method using the synth package, which creates a synthetic control of these other advanced economies relative to the United States, but it doesn't include the time series component. And when we do this, we actually get results. So you can see what it looks like here. And this is sort of the bump during the Biden years. And this is over time. What we see is, again, an estimate that of about 30 basis points, the inflation has been higher during the Biden years than its competitors. And so if you had a stakeholder who was asking about this, if this was, a research report that you were doing, one of the things that I would suggest is saying, look, under two different methodologies, we get a similar result of about 30 basis points higher inflation relative to other advanced economies during the Biden years compared to the relative gaps in the prior 10. However, you can also argue that worldwide inflation or inflation in advanced economies is in part due to the actions that happen in the United States. And so to the extent that the United States might have caused inflation to be higher, or not only in the US, but also in advanced economies, then it's perhaps the true effect is somewhere between 30 basis points higher and about 150 basis points higher.